Hey, it's Doug with Backcountry Pilgrim. Over the last 5 years, I have had quite a few backpacks. Now, so far, the most I've spent on a backpack was about $300 for my custom ULA Circuit backpack, a pack that I am still a big fan of. But when Tramper started to put out backpacks again, I really wanted to get my hands on one because I am a big fan of their accessories, and I wanted to see if the kinds of things that I liked about those were going to make their way into their pack design. But then I saw the price tag. Yowza, $400. This new pack from Tramper had better be pretty impressive. Well, Tramper was cool enough to send me one of their 40-liter packs to put through its paces. I've been on a few trips with it now, so I'm going to pull over on the side of the trail over here, give you the stats, take you on a tour of the pack through its features, and then tell you what I think about it. The Tramper Ultralight backpack comes in two sizes, 40 or 50 liter. Other than that, they have the exact same features. On both packs, about 75 to 80% of that volume is in the interior body. Now, the guys behind Tramper are engineers. They are very OCD about their measurements. Using the measurements they provide, this number seems pretty accurate. The 40 liter is a 10 by 7 by 24 to 29 inch, depending on customizable features, with a 34 inch circumference. The 50 liter is an 11 by 10 by 24 to 29 with 39 inch circumference. In its overall volume calculations, I have found this to be a very roomy 40 liter pack. Compared to other packs I have, Tramper measures the main compartment up to the load lifters and does not include the extra volume you could get from the extension collar by extending it the 3 fabric turns that it takes to close the roll top. There is a full interior frame made out of carbon fiber arrow shafts and 3D printed brackets that form it into a U-shape. The pack material is X-Pack VX21. The pack is said to have a 35-pound carry capacity and weighs between 28 and 31 ounces for the 40 liter and 31 and 34 ounces for the 50 liter. Part of the reason for these differences is that Tramper makes these packs individually based on the customer's individual body measurements. When you order your Tramper pack, you are sending in not only your torso length, anywhere from 15 to 24 inches, but also the width of your waist from 26 to 44 inches, in order to make sure that the harness system is custom fit for you. You can also choose from 12 different colors for the main body as well as the accents. The Tramper Ultralight backpack retails for $400, but do keep in mind that shipping for all of their packs is included. All right, so now that you know the basic stats on this pack, let me give you a tour from the top to the bottom. First of all, this is a roll top backpack. There's no lid on top of it. You do have a Y-shaped strap on the top, adjustable from both sides so that you can put something on top if you need, or if you just have something kind of long, like a tent or something, and you're not trying to cinch it down with just one little strap in the middle, this is going to be very secure. The roll top itself is pretty standard. There are no side clips for these, so if you like compressing packs down on the side on a roll top backpack, this one does not have that. If you just clip the top first and roll it down, the top strap becomes your cinch cord. It's nice and clean, and because of the X-Pack material, you really don't need a lot of compression because the material really doesn't stretch. So unless you have just massively underpacked your backpack, compression straps are not going to be very helpful. They're just going to be added weight and inconvenience when you're trying to get packed up. Inside the pack, you have a collar that is secured with 2 pieces of Velcro on the inside. I like that because it just helps line everything up neatly without having to hold it in place while you're putting everything together. Also, if you have to extend the collar for extra carry, you aren't going to be stuck trying to get these 2 clips together. Although this obviously isn't going to be waterproof, you can actually get quite a bit of extra volume out of the pack. Inside, you have a removable carbon frame and basically one big body. There's no extra pockets in here, there's no hydration sleeves, nor is there any exit for a hydration hose. Personally, I don't really like hydration bladders. for bigger backpacks, because on the kinds of longer range trips that I would take a pack like this on, I am not going to be wanting to deal with all the problems that are caused by a hydration bladder. Rather, I am going to carry stuff on the front with this Chicken Tramper water bottle accessory, which I'll talk about in a minute. Moving forward, we have the standard layout of side pockets and one big one on the front. Now, these pockets to me are actually one of the more unique things about the Chicken Tramper accessories and packs. One of the things I look at when you have side and front pockets is the material they are made of. There are pluses and minuses to both of the two most popular types. One is kind of a very open, ventilated net mesh like this, or a more closed up, smaller hold stretch mesh. Now, I have had both. I like both for different reasons. On the side of the stretch mesh, it does look a little cleaner when you first buy it. Of course, once you've used it for a while, it can get stretched out, and then that advantage goes away. More importantly, the stretch mesh does seem to be very good at grabbing onto gear. If you just put a couple of things in there, the pocket's still pretty tight, and if you put a lot of stuff in there, it stretches to accommodate, and so no matter what you put in the stretch mesh pocket, it has a good feeling of security. With the big open mesh pockets, they tend to hold their shape. For example, this pocket is open right now, even though nothing is in it. What I like about this is that because it holds its shape, it makes it very easy to use the pockets. So for example, with my water bottle holder, I can get the bottle in and out without having to reach over and use my other hand to pull open the stretch mesh and drop the bottle in. Now, the advantage to the stretch mesh there might seem to be retention. However, Chicken Tramper puts a corded collar around the top of all of their pockets and these accessories. So this thing's going nowhere. But if I don't need that, if I'm just cruising down the trail, I don't want that retention anymore. It's just going to get in the way. I'd rather have a pocket that I can get my things in and out of easily. So that is one thing that I really like about these big pockets. The other thing is that they are much more ventilated. If I've got wet stuff in my exterior storage in order to dry out, it's going to be a lot easier to have that happen if I have large ventilation holes instead of stretch mesh. Another thing I prefer about this kind of mesh is that I can see through it easily and I can tell where things are. Sometimes things shift around while you're hiking, and if my water bottle filter is way at the bottom of one of these, I don't want to have to dig everything out of my stretch mesh trying to find it. With something like this, I have a nice open top. It's a lot easier for me to get in and out of here. And again, if retention is an issue, I have the elastic cordage. I can cinch this down just as well as I would with the stretch mesh, but now I have options. Chicken Tramper reinforced the bottom of all of these pockets with a layer of X-Pack. So if you've got something stuffed into the bottom that's getting crammed down, it's not going to stretch out or potentially ruin the bottom of the pocket. One of the other things that I like about this kind of mesh is that if it was to tear, it's a lot easier to fix on trail than stretch mesh. With stretch mesh, you're basically tearing elastic fabric, making a hole that's going to get worse and worse the more you use it. With this kind of mesh, a tear in a hole just gives you a hole that's twice as big as it should be. You don't have to worry about it tearing any more after that, and with a simple bread tie or something, you can fix it yourself fairly easily. So for all of those reasons, this is my preferred type of pocket. The other thing I like about the Chicken Tramper pockets is that they have drain holes in them, so these are not going to fill up with water and then leak into the pack. Now, this is not a waterproof pack. X-Pack itself is waterproof, but like most packs, it is not seam sealed. There are actually good reasons for that. Having the backpack be able to breathe is actually a benefit if it is getting wet, but the fact that these pockets are not going to fill up with water and then fill up the body of the pack from themselves is really helpful. Because X-Pack is natively waterproof, water hitting the outside is not necessarily going to get inside the pack. It takes pressure to get water into the pack. If a pocket fills up with water, that additional pressure can overcome the seams and fill the pack up with water that can now not get out. So while you don't necessarily want an airtight backpack, you also don't want one that's going to fill up with water. This seems to be one of the best combinations of features to help keep the stuff inside dry while also producing a realistic pack. Of course, you should always keep your critical gear in dry bags inside your pack anyway, no matter what. Even a completely waterproof pack is not waterproof once you open it. On the sides of the pack, in addition to the pockets, you also have this kind of figure-8 cordage. This is removable. It's just some nice stretchy cordage. If you've got something tall in the side pocket, it's really nice to have this to wrap around it. It doesn't do much in the way of compression, nor is it really meant to. Again, with X-Pack fabric, you're really not getting very much of a stretch, and it's just not terribly necessary to have a lot of compression straps on a pack like this. Probably, if you use this for what it is intended for, you're going to be pretty much filling the pack, and compression isn't going to be an issue. The very bottom of the pack is featureless, but it is also flat. One of the things I love about this backpack is that it sits upright when you set it down. It doesn't just immediately take a dive because of some angled bottom. However, if you do want bottom storage, there are additional cordages. You can put a tent or a sleep pad or something like that down here, but it's actually going to be in the front of the pack, not hanging off the bottom, hitting your butt, and causing the pack to fall over if you set it down. It also keeps whatever this gear is from getting crushed by the pack when it's time to take it off. There is also a small toggle piece of cordage down here that can help with trekking poles or an ice axe. Turning the pack around, number one, you've got a very good carry handle. I am a big fan of full-size carry handles. When I go to pick up a pack, I don't want to have to be just picking a few fingers in there. I just want to be able to grab it and go, and this pack allows that. The back of the pack is unpadded. However, you do have X-Pack sleeves that you can include a small sit pad in. This sit pad comes with the pack. It's basically just 2 panels. It's not very big. It's about big enough for your bum, but it also makes a barrier between your back and the pack itself. Of course, this is also removable to be used as a sit pad, and you can just leave it out completely if it's not something you want. The bumpy cells might also provide a little bit of ventilation, but that's not really something I worry about with a pack like this. Now, the harness system on this Chicken Tramper backpack is one area where it really shines. First of all, because it is a frame pack, you have useful load lifters, but the load lifters connect to the shoulder straps in a fairly unique way. This is not something you typically see on backpacks in this price range, but this little metal buckle can actually slide up and down about 4 or 5 inches on the shoulder strap and allow you to decide where the load lifters connect to the pack. If you pull it forward, it's going to lift them higher up and put a little bit more pressure on the front of your chest. If you move them back, it's going to lift them more from the back. It's the customization here that also makes a very big deal. When you order your Chicken Tramper pack, you're telling them your exact torso size as well as your waist size. Chicken Tramper does not try to squeeze every body type into a certain proportion. When you add that customization to the additional means of adjustment on the harness, it becomes incredibly comfortable. This pack is literally made exactly for you. You don't have to have the extra weight and expense of a harness adjustment system. It simply fits. The shoulder straps themselves are nice and padded. They are not overly padded like a lot of Osprey packs, nor are they just fairly padded straps like some ultralight backpacks. Chicken Tramper has pretty much hit the sweet spot with the padding on these. The shoulder straps also have something that I absolutely demand on every pack that I buy now, and that is daisy chain webbing. The ability to adapt your pack to your needs instead of relying on the company to give you what it thinks you need and then you're stuck with it is one of the things I love about the Chicken Tramper backpack. They actually make a number of backpack accessories, pretty much all of which I have tried out. And the fact that both the hip belt and the shoulder straps are completely covered in daisy chain webbing means that you can dial this thing in to the exact needs of the moment. So you can strip this pack down to pretty bare, or you can add quite a bit of storage exactly where you want it by adding these accessories. And the great thing is you're not stuck with any one of them just because the manufacturer thought you should have them. Now, Chicken Tramper used to offer both J and S-shaped straps for their packs. That was one of the custom features. They no longer do that. All of these packs are coming with S-shaped straps. I personally find both comfortable, but on this pack, the S-shape has not been a problem at all. In fact, I rather like it. The sternum strap with whistle is attached to this daisy chain webbing. However, it does not get in the way, and you can still use that loop even though you have the sternum strap attached there. Moving down, of course, you've got the shoulder strap adjustments, and the hip belt itself is pretty thickly padded. So although it isn't like a giant pillow like you get with some packs, it has been just fine for me comfort-wise. The fastening system on the hip belt is pretty minimal. It's got a strong but small buckle that splits in two so that you can adjust both the top and bottom of the hip belt. However, they have wound it through in such a way that you only have single pull straps. They also pull from the back. This is exactly the design that I prefer. There is a lumbar pad, which about doubles the padding from the hip belt. I found it to be really nice. It's enough to know it's there and to help stabilize the pack and give your back a little bit of a break, but it's also not so big that you feel like you're having something being pushed into you every time you put the pack on. One of the things I really like about this pack is its overall geometry. It just seems to fit really well and move really well with me. On my back, I can feel some slight pressure up and down the sides of my spine, but there's no pressure directly on it. The lumbar pad is there. It's noticeable in the sense that I definitely have some more support in my lower back, but it's not pushing into my lower back. There is some ventilation in the back of this pack. I can actually join my hands together in my lower back, although in the upper, it is still touching. When it comes to the shoulder straps, everything just feels like it is right where it should be. I have the right amount of pressure on my chest. I don't have very much on my shoulders, and the hip belt is keeping the weight of the pack right on top of my hip bones where it belongs. Another thing I love about this pack is its profile. It's thin enough that I can easily swing my arm back and forth. I make no contact with the pack whatsoever, and yet I can easily reach into the pockets and get anything that is in them, as well as put them back because they are not collapsing due to being stretch mesh. Finally, I like the fact that the pack is not so tall. If I have to bend over and go under a branch or something, then I'm gonna have a big old tall pack sticking out the top, running into the branches for me. The pack really feels like an overbuilt day pack. When I put it on, I don't get that feeling like I just put on a giant backpack. The weight stays where it is supposed to stay. It is centered, it is even, it is balanced. It's not too high and it's not too low. So overall, the pack is actually fairly simple, but for me, this is pretty much all of the features that I want on a backpack and none that I don't. At this level, it's the little things that start to make a big difference. And the second I pulled the Chicken Tramper pack out of the box, I knew I had something special. This is a very well-made pack. These packs are handmade in the United States, in Upper Michigan. And honestly, as I was going through the pack and trying to figure out what I would change to make it better, I am not really sure I could. Chicken Tramper actually did a better job finding the features that I like on backpacks than I did a couple of years ago when I had a custom pack made. So there's actually a few things on my custom pack that I wish were different. And what's interesting is that the Chicken Tramper pack already has made those changes. If you are interested in checking out the Chicken Tramper Ultralight backpack, check the description of the video below. I've got a link down there, and using that link helps the channel at no extra cost to you. So that is the Chicken Tramper Ultralight backpack. I'm going to get back on trail. If you like this video, would you mind indicating so by clicking like and subscribe to Backcountry Pilgrim if you are into hiking, camping, backpacking, and the gear that goes with it. Until next time, I'm Doug. Thanks for watching.